Hello everyone, Jasmine here with another episode of Break It Down. Today's topic is Go with God's Flow. I remember listening to the sermon by my pastor, and he said something that really hit me. He said, don't be a dam to your destiny. Stay in the flow of God. I said, wow. How many times have we caused blockage to our goals, blockage to our visions, blockage to our blessings just because we were not staying in the flow? Where God is taking us in this current of life, it's going to require a new level of thinking. It's going to require a new work ethic. It's going to require discipline. But remember, what God is trying to do with us now is going to set us up for so much more time to come. Like, this is not a trend. God getting us disciplined, God chastising us, this is not a trend. This is the life that He wants for us. He wants us to have abundant life. He wants us to enjoy life and just let it be everlasting. So remember that where God is taking you, everyone can't go. Your old ways cannot go. Your old thoughts cannot go. Your old mechanisms cannot go. And even our heart's desires, we want them to be in the flow of God. And I know when it comes to prayer, sometimes I'm always praying for God's perfect will, not His permissive will. I want my heart's desires to be His desires for me. He says that He will give us all of our heart's desires. But what happens when our desires are not in the will of God? We have to constantly ask Him for revelation and confirmation that what we're doing and how we're moving, let it be a part of His will. Because when we go outside of the will of God, when we go outside of the flow of God, that's when things get messy. That's when confusion takes place. And God is not the father of confusion. Even when it comes to our friend circle, realize that who we were connected with back then, history is great, but history doesn't always mean everything. Who you used to be is why you're able to get along with certain people and how you guys were able to reconnect, back then. But now you might even see a shift in those around you. Remember, you were the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are your friends praying for you? Do your friends have goals? Are they going places? What is your friend group like? Because if they're not in the flow of God, 9 times out of 10, your attitude and your actions are going to be based on those around you, which means you'll step outside the flow. And that's a problem. God removes to replace, and we can't get upset when, or we can't, reopen the doors. I talked about this, reopening doors that He's already closed just because we want to be comfortable. It's time to get uncomfortable. It's time to move in His flow. Again, we do not want to become a dam to our destiny. So procrastination really does delay the promise. The Bible tells us that the vision is for an appointed time. If we are not moving in the flow of God, you better believe that God is going to send someone else to do the job that was set for you to do. Now, again, nothing surprises God. He knew that you were going to procrastinate. So then He has to redirect you. Then you have to go through a bunch of changes and craziness and frustrations and attitudes because you didn't want to be obedient. And I'm talking to myself too because I've been there. So don't think that, without the sacrifice that I got here. No, it really takes hard work, sacrifice, and just trusting God's plan. So I'm going to give you 6 ways to stay in God's flow. Number 1, prayer and meditation. So remember, prayer is an intentional conversation with God. And instead of always asking God for things, let's take time to thank Him, to worship Him and magnify Him for being a way maker, for supplying us with all of our needs. In meditation, take time to listen for God's voice. Sometimes he's quiet and we're like, God, I'm trying to talk to you. Where are you? It's because every time He gets ready to speak, we keep talking, or we get out of prayer, or we get out of meditation, and we go on about our day. One of the most amazing things that I've done during this quarantine is called Skin to Skin. And it's literally you giving God an hour of your day. It's just pure meditation. You can do it quietly, with no music at all, or you can do it with worship music, but you're just being quiet. And internally, you're asking God to just fill your spirit. You're just inviting His presence into your area. I truly ask that you guys try this out, and you will experience God in such an amazing way. His presence, like the heaviness of His presence just resting upon you. Oh, I started tearing up. Every time I do it, it's just like, wow, God, you love me that much to just come into my space and just to lay with me, just to be around me. Allow me to feel the weight of your glory and your love. Try it, y'all. Try it. Skin to skin. And let me know how it goes. Just an hour. And watch. Just watch. Number 2, read your word. The Bible I've seen it broken down as basic instructions before leaving earth. And honestly, everything that we go through, even with the stuff that's taking place right now in the world, it's all in the Bible. Look it up, and I also like Bible plans. Bible plans help me learn more about God, learn more about how he operates, learn more about different characters of the Bible, how their journeys went, how they were able to get to glory, the trials and tribulations they faced. And remember that there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to God. Everything has been repeated. History repeats itself. So whatever you're going through, it's in the Bible. Number 3, remembering to tend to all that God has given you. So even when God may have given you this project over here, just because he gives you a new project, it doesn't mean you're supposed to stop working on this one. And I myself, have been a victim to this. I'm just like, okay, God, you give me this and this. And sometimes we'll forget, or, we'll put our focus all on everything. But God has given, I don't know if y'all ever heard about the different talents in that, that parable, but God will give you many talents. He'll give you many gifts and blessings, and you could take it and multiply them. You never want to subtract, and you don't want to come back with the same thing. You want to create out of what God has given you. Like, I always think of it as God, giving us the ingredients to bake a cake. He'll give us the powder. He'll give us the powder, the flour, the sugar, the eggs, the milk, the everything, the blender, the cake. Oh my gosh, the blender, the cake mixer, I don't even know what it's called. I can't think of it right now. But he'll give us all the tools. I really messed myself up there. He'll give us all the tools to bake a cake, and we'll be like, okay, God, what's next? Put it in the oven. So remember, we cannot, just leave behind what God has already given us. That's funny. Number 4, remember that he is the source. He supplies all of our needs. All of our needs. God knows what we need before we even go to him. That's just how amazing he is. He literally, oh my goodness, I can think of times where I was like, God, I got rent coming up, or God, I have a car payment coming up, and he'll just drop a blessing. He'll drop a blessing. And it's just important to know that no matter what things look like or seem like or feel like, that we will remember we have to walk by faith and not by sight. We have to walk by faith and not by sight. Trust that God knows what's going on. That leads me into 5. Know that he has your best interests. We have to get uncomfortable. We cannot be content. Being stagnant is just as bad as stepping backwards. We have to stay in the flow. We have to keep going. We do not want anything or anyone to hinder our growth with God, to hinder our flow, which again goes into number 6. Keep the flow unblocked. I don't know what that might mean for you, but for me, it makes me think of, where am I putting my time? Am I, getting in my word? Because when we're not in our word, the enemy, oh my goodness, he wants to attack you from every single place. We have to stay in our word. We have to keep it unblocked. When it comes to our thoughts, giving yourself affirmations. I am a child of the Most High. I will conquer and accomplish all that God has given me. I am not under attack. I am over the attack. I'm going to say that again. I am not under attack. I am over the attack. I will be a lender and not a borrower. God loves me. You have to affirm those things, because the enemy will really try to attack our mind. Our mind is a major battlefield. And the enemy will literally try to sabotage all those things. But we have to really shut it down and remember to speak to our atmosphere. Keep the flow unblocked. That goes for people. That goes for sometimes not allowing us to go to certain places, our own selves to go to certain places. Whatever we have to do to stay in the flow with God, it's going to be by any means necessary. So if certain people got to go, they got to go. If certain environments we can't be in, we just can't be in them. So stay in the flow and keep it unblocked. I really hope this message touched you guys. I know when I first heard, not being a dam to my destiny, it hit me really hard. And I said, you know what? I can't procrastinate. We're going into a new month this week. It's time for us to truly lock in, stay focused, and stay in the flow of God. I hope this message touched you guys. Hope you were blessed by it. Take care, and I will see you guys soon.